in charge of security of number one, who at the time was Saddam Hussein. He says, well, we have to prepare him to go to court. And I need you to cut his hair and shave his beard.
You're telling me you cut Saddam's...
I did.
I haven't heard this one.
Yeah. So,
All right, continue.
Yeah.
Sorry. Welcome to the Cumberland Unfiltered. I need to make sure that I don't have this volume in my ear. I'm Caleb, your host. We got Jason. I said all this stuff already, but before we get started, before we introduce our guests, I want to quickly read a quick disclaimer. This live broadcast of Cumberland Unfiltered podcast, Veterans Day Live, contains real stories and unfiltered language from combat veterans and service members. Views expressed are personal and do not represent any branch of the U.S. Armed Forces or affiliated organizations. Some content may include strong language or emotional, intense material that could be difficult for certain viewers. Viewer disclaimer advised. This conversation is about truth, not politics, told by men who lived it. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming. So I'm going to go around the table so that we know who is who and have you guys introduce yourself, because you guys just, I don't know any of you except for Jack. I know Jack. So what's your,
Don't forget
so
Luke.
pull the mic in front of it. Oh, I know Luke too. Yeah. I don't know Luke.
Those are our alumni, I guess.
Luke and Jack. Sorry, Luke.
That's right. Can't hurt my feelings.
Go ahead.
I'm Scott Beaupre, formerly command
Pull
sergeant major.
that close up to your mouth.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
How's that,
Is it
assistant
on?
producer?
Good?
There's a little delay. Go ahead. Talk.
I am Scott Beaupre, formerly command sergeant major. I don't know what else you want me to say other than...
That's good.
want
That's
me to
good.
Keep going?
Yeah. So look at the mic real quick. You see these knobs on it? Right here. See these? You can tighten those up so it's not like wiggly, like a floppy, you know what?
I'm George Huddleston.
We're not all
I'm a
Navy. We
retired
don't.
first sergeant.
I'm Jack Flynn. I'm a retired sergeant first class.
So Jack's been on here before.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, he was here on our last episode.
Pre-legend show.
Yeah, right. This is
Doomsday.
before all of us dudes. And I'm Caleb. I am a not retired, but medically retired Navy. I'm probably the only Navy guy here at the table. I feel a little awkward. Grab that mic there.
My name is Brian Thornton. I'm a retired Major, Army National Guard.
Jason, the boogeyman Dean.
Y'all know Jason.
Boogeyman of Cumberland. Retired, medically retired Lieutenant Colonel, Army.
Y'all know Jason. And then Luke.
Yeah.
Luke Bonin.
Yes, Luke Bonin, thank you.
Talking the mic, buddy.
Retired first sergeant from the Army.
Gotcha. Perfect. So tonight, we wanted to do something special for Veterans Day, obviously. So if you're a veteran out there, thank you for your service. Our country wouldn't be what it is without our veterans. And we're going to talk about stories tonight that most people don't really get the opportunity to express to the public, and maybe it will shed some light on some of the things that our veterans actually our people actually go through as humans in a role where they're expected to be like RoboCop or no emotions. But before we get started, I want to do I have a quick monologue. I have a quick thing I want to read here just to kind of get the mood set.
He can read.
What's that?
He can read.
I can read. I'm from the Navy. I can read. There's a kind of man who never really comes all the way home. He walks among us in small towns, in union halls, in the back of church pews, carrying memories that don't make good conversation. The kind of memories that weigh the air but never leave his lips. He's the man who signed a blank check to his country, payable up to his own life, and then came back to a world that had already moved on. Yet, he still stands. He builds, he coaches Little League, he holds his kids tighter because he knows how fragile life can be. He buries his brothers and shows up the next morning for work without complaint, because that's what veterans do. You won't see him trending, you won't hear his story on the news, but when his nation shakes, it's his kind who stand steady and who steady it. Tonight the tavern becomes sacred ground, not because of flags or speeches, but because the men sitting at this table earned the right to speak freely and protected the right for you to speak freely as well. Welcome to the table, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Open discussion. Jay, lead us off. How do you know these guys, by the way?
So, in 2007, a bunch of us were told we were going to Afghanistan, and they handpicked this team to go to Afghanistan. And selected.
Hand selected.
Yeah. I had just started a business and just had a child at the time. When I was told, I think my son was 9 months old. I had already been deployed twice previously, so I was like, I could have identified a lot of people that had my same rank and my same MOS who hadn't deployed. So I said, I can't do it. I can't do it. I have the business I just started. I have a little kid. But anyway, they didn't care. They deployed me anyway. And when I met the team that I was going on, I didn't know any of them. It was Scott was one of them, Jack was one of them, and Brian was one of them. Brian was the only one I had met previously. George I knew from the RTI. RTI is a regional training institute. He was at the RTI as a ops guy, right? You were at the ops guy. And Luke I knew from the RTI as well. He was at the RTI. He had come off active duty,
Yep.
and came to the RTI because they promised you wouldn't get deployed.
Well, that is true. I think that requires some qualification. I had just come off my first 4 years of active duty with the Army. I was in 2nd Ranger Battalion, high op tempo. I deployed 4 times in 4 years, plus having gone to Ranger School and all kinds of other training. So my wife and I had just had our first child. So when I hit the end of my first contract, I was ready to go home and start a family, come back to Massachusetts, come back to the East Coast from the West Coast, and kind of start a life. So yes, to that end.
I wasn't saying it as a criticism.
I know. To that end, yeah, the stability of an instructor position for a few years was exactly what I was looking for after my first 4 years.
I will never criticize you guys for what you did. I was on a submarine under the water, far away from danger. The things that we did whenever we hit a button and engaged in conflict, we only got to read about on the news. We didn't have to look eye to eye to people like you guys.
Well, I would say, I mean, in the modern era of the Navy, it is safer than it was, but a submarine's still not safe duty. I mean, it's only that safe because of our technological superiority.
So, I'll tell you, in Afghanistan, I got 2 TBIs, traumatic brain injuries from RPGs, and they sent me to a TBI clinic at Groton.
That's where I was.
Everybody that was in that TBI clinic was a bunch of crazy submariners. I mean, it was for the entire area, but it was full of submariners. You call them submariners?
Submariners.
We had this discussion.
Yeah,
already
but that's
once.
because that base is a sub base. Like there's no surface boats there. It's all subs.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, in the stories they told about going nuts under the water for months at a time. I would rather, Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
I told you that before.
I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it either. No.
I'll tell you this. We had to do a psyche eval before we we in our schooling area, and someone told me this. I can't verify that this is factual, but someone said that they look for individuals who score some sort of crazy on the psyche valve, because a normal person's not going to get on a boat that sinks itself.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of crazy in the head anyway.
But to
Makes
get
sense?
back to the
Touche.
meeting,
Get on a
So-
boat that sinks itself or jump out of a perfectly good airplane. It's one or the other, right?
You did that, right? Did you do that?
Yeah, I think most of us
Y'all
did.
did. So so we're all stupid crazy.
so yeah, so we end up meeting in 2007. We go through training. They send us to Fort Riley. We're deploying, thinking that we're all going to deploy as an ETT, which is an embedded training team with Afghan soldiers. At first, we thought, and what ended up happening was we got to Afghanistan and we found out that we were going to not only not go and train soldiers, we were going to train police, which are actually they're really soldiers, to be honest. They have machine guns and RPGs, and we were going to get all split up. So the only two people, Jack and I shared a border between our two areas of responsibility, and then there was another gentleman named Dan Espinal who ended up about, I guess, halfway through. He ended up on my FOB, my forward operating base. So out of the 16 Rhode Island guys that went over, I only saw basically 2 of them. But yeah, we all have our own individual stories and individual experiences from Afghanistan.
And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, right?
Yeah, but I didn't deploy with Luke. We talked a little bit about Luke's history with the Rangers, and then George has some pretty interesting stories. I'm sure he deployed.
George.
Yeah, he deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq. Iraq first.
I did.
And were you in Vietnam?
I pretty close. I actually went to basic training in 1982. Served for 35 years. In
Yeah,
my
pull that
career,
up to your
I
mouth a
deployed
little
like
bit.
7 times.
Pull it up to your mouth just a little bit
Oh.
and talk a
Is
little
it
bit.
good? Now I feel like a Navy guy. All right.
You suck.
So, like I was saying,
No, I do. No, I'm just
went to basic in 82. I served for 35 years. Within that was 7 deployments. But probably my most interesting one was my second tour in Iraq, when the deputy brigade commander pulled me into his office and said, I got a task for you. And I said, another task. Here I am in E7, and now I'm doing all the air operations for this brigade all over the theater of operations. And now he pulls me in to do another task. And I said, what is it, sir? And he says, did you bring your hair cutting equipment?
hair cutting equipment.
Yes. And I said, well, in OIF1, I would cut everybody's hair.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, I always bring it with me. He goes, okay, I got a task for you. And he goes, sit down, let me explain it to you. He says, you know, number 1. And I'm like, yeah, that's why we're here. We were in charge of security of number 1, who at the time was Saddam Hussein. He says, well, we have to prepare him to go to court. And I need you to cut his hair and shave his beard.
You're telling me you cut Saddam's.
I did.
I haven't heard this one.
So,
All right. Continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
so it is a story that I was told, you know, for many years that I could not tell. And to myself, I went back to my hooch and I was just thinking, I'm just like a guy from Rhode Island. I'm going to be cutting the biggest dictator in the world's hair and trim his beard.
Now, was this before his neck was stretched?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was before, but
Yeah.
like I'm talking about, like right before, like this, or was he on trial?
No. This was before we started his trial. We were in charge of his trial. So,
No kidding.
The colonel goes, okay, tomorrow we're going over to where he's being held and bring your stuff. And he says, okay. I said, let's do it. So we go in and, you know, we get searched and they search my shit. And And we walk in the room, and there's the man. He sits down. He said, well, I'm here to cut your hair. And I pulled out my clippers, and he started freaking out. And he's like, no, 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 no. Only scissors. So I looked at him, and I said, really? You know I can stab you right in the fucking neck with these things.
You said that to him?
I said it to him, yeah. And of course, he just looked at me, and he just looked. He goes, "Okay." So I went on with the shears, and I cut his hair, trimmed his beard. I had to go downtown Baghdad, and we had to get him a suit
For trial.
for trial. Yeah, and
This
then
is like,
for the next couple of months, we were transporting him daily downtown Baghdad for his trial.
okay, so listen. I listened to Joe Rogan, and there's this guy on there. His name's John McPhee.
Yep.
John Shrek
Yeah,
McPhee.
sure.
Do you know him?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he talks
Delta
about
guy, Delta guy.
What's that? He's a Delta guy.
Yeah.
And he's got he brought with him some of Saddam's clothes
Yeah.
and showed it to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But to me, that's not the same. Like he could have easily pulled that out of his wardrobe after. You cut the freaking guy's head.
I cut his hair. Yes. He trimmed his beard, got him dressed every morning before trial.
You didn't keep any of his hair for a souvenir, did you? Were you going to ask that? Grab the mic.
No,
you can talk
it was
too.
you know, you tried. I sat down on several occasions, sat down, had cohibas with them and talked about life. And he used to say all the
Wow.
time, he goes, why is it that we're a small speck in the universe, but we can't get along? And my response to him was, because there's dickheads like you in the world.
Did you say that to him for real?
And he would smile, you know, because I don't know if he understood what a dickhead was, but
Look up the word dickhead in the
Yeah.
dictionary, and you see his picture
But,
next to it.
yeah.
Man,
So
how
that
do
was something that always brought back with me, and
That's
No,
that's an insane story, Luke. Like I used to think that you had like the awesome stories. I'm
That's
sorry,
a pretty awesome story.
you have taken the back burner to the awesome
That's fair.
stories.
That's fair.
I'm sorry.
so you know, a little guy from Rhode Island just had a major
Barber.
task. Yeah.
You were the major barber,
I
or
was
the
the barber.
main barber.
Barber of Baghdad, I guess, right?
How do we go anywhere? How do we go from that? Like that should have been the last story.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Oh,
thank you, folks. Show's over.
What the fuck, man? So, when Luke was with us last time, him and go ahead.
Jack was the pervert of Pactica.
Is that all right?
Oh,
Can we? Is that a story?
I've never even heard of this one.
All right, go ahead, Jay. Tell the story.
No, I was just trying to think of something that rhymed.
So when Luke was here last time, it was funny because him and Jay were like going back and forth, like, "Oh, you remember the time we were over in this area and somebody threw a can or
Oh, that was San Juan.
San Juan.
Jack was there. Jack,
yeah.
Jack left us. Jack ran. He ran.
who was the guy that was?
Hold on. You gotta like start why it happened.
Well, he told us the story, but I want to hear your side.
Well, no, I mean I was casually having a beer by myself in the corner talking to somebody, while Jason was harassing a 9-year-old child.
That's not. Is it a 9-year-old
I
child?
don't remember that.
No, no.
I think
No.
it had something to do with the son of a motherless whore
Who
comment.
said that? Jay said
Yes.
that.
That's
Sounds
not-
like something Jay would
That's
say.
not true either.
And then this entire crowd went rushing by me as I stood there with my beer, and this young lady that I was talking to, and Jason was being chased out of town with Luke and the rest in tow.
we
That
did
is-
get chased out of town.
They
That
did
is
get
not.
chased out.
That is not the story they told.
Well,
No,
that's what really happened.
no. It was a couple of adult men who started yelling at us to get out of Puerto Rico because we were gringos. And I was like, are you Puerto Rican? Aren't you Puerto Rican? And they were like, yeah, we're Puerto Rican. I'm like, well, we're all Americans. You know, why can't we get? And then, I guess it got a heated discussion. And then as we were talking to these, there never came to fisticuffs, no fight, no anything. As we were talking to these guys, people that were watching us talking to them started throwing beer bottles and and glasses full of beer at us, and we were like, "What the hell's going on?" And then yeah, we got chased down the road by literally 3,000 people.
Who was the guy, Jack? Who was the guy
Maybe
who
not
did the
3,000.
Homer Simpson into
did
the
think it was
bushes
Thermopylae.
with the crowd? They said that there was a guy who just blended in with the crowd and was
Oh,
like
that
throwing.
was Jack. And then
Oh,
he called
yeah,
us
I mean,
later.
That wasn't you, was it?
I went back safely. But then,
That was him.
That was Jack.
But then,
He's the one.
who was the one of you on the side of the Explorer?
Oh,
That's another gentleman, right?
yeah.
We won't bring that piece up.
It wasn't me, but yeah. I
This
think
is
I know
like-
what you're talking about.
This is this is coming full circle. I'm starting to
He
get
should
the
be-
picture of
he
what's
should be
happening.
the last stories.
Yeah. So
They can only get worse from here.
so you're
Trust me.
Scott. Let's hear some of your interesting, I guess not so interesting stories anymore. Right?
Well, I don't know how to top Barbara of Baghdad talk.
I know.
I'll see what I can do. I'll find some of the things. Yeah, where to begin? You want to talk about deployment? One of the biggest things was deploying with these guys was for the first time was having a fucked up leader in our helm. That didn't help our cause, but guys like us stuck together. You know,
Yeah.
like most of us, and kept command element away from us. And thank God we get separated once we get into country.
Scott, I got to ask a question though,
Sure.
like because I've known you for like almost 30 years, and
That's-
you've always
that's
like
been a
taken
while.
care of me. But like, Scott's another range battalion guy. Like, what are you, third battalion?
Third bat, yep.
All right. What really happened in Mexico?
Oh, fuck.
Like that's like that's like I've never. It's been 30 years, bro. I've never heard what happened with third bat in Mexico.
All right, believe it or not, it's actually folklore now. Because I ran into a couple of guys at battle staff and SEAL course. I don't know, forgot what when it.
Pull
2012 or
that mic just
2013.
up to your mouth a little bit more.
And basically, what it was, it became folklore. These guys that I met at that school, they were NCOs at the battalion. They were like, "Hey, you know, we heard of this story because I told them I was in bat." And like, when I was, it was like 92 to 93, almost 94. And they were like, "Hey, we heard this story. We're going through some old files and we came across some shit from Juarez, Mexico." I was like, "No shit." I was like, "I got a funny story for you." I was like, I was part of that crew. And basically, what it was is that we went down. We were actually, we didn't know at the time because you know this. They don't tell you what you're training for, right? You're training. We were training down at Fort Bliss in desert training, not realizing we were actually training for Somalia. We were training with Task Force 60 and all those guys in the Black Hawk Down business. It was actually that train up for that. Fortunately, they gave us the night off just prior to the deployment. They gave us like an 18-hour pass in town. You can go 50 miles, blah, blah, blah. Of course, Mexico being only a mile down the road, where do we go? Fucking Mexico. So we have a good time, party hardy, get back, literally coming in the parking lot, screeching tires because we rented a car because it's the only way to get around. Come in, squealing tires. Had no idea I was going to return to rent the car. That's another story. Get to formation within minutes of them calling formation. Make it, all said and good. Then the next day, there's a witch hunt. Who went to Mexico? You shouldn't have gone to Mexico. Because they said, they didn't say don't go to Mexico. They said you shouldn't go to Mexico. So to me, shouldn't and don't are way different.
Yeah,
It's way
right.
different. 50 miles is 50 miles. You said 50 miles. That's what I heard. So we had a good time, came back. And then immediately following that next morning, literally 8 hours, 10 hours later, Bravo Company went to Somalia. And we were like, hoorah, we're all going to fucking war. Well, no, there's a witch hunt instead. So everybody that wasn't part of Bravo Company, I was in Charlie, which is the bulk of the guys that got screwed over. They started this process and we lied about it, of course, because I'm not going to, who's going to fucking admit to this shit? Like, hey, did you go to Mexico? Fuck no.
Well, they didn't say
Absolutely
not
not.
to. They just said
They
should.
said you shouldn't. Did you go? No, we just stayed in town. Everybody stayed out of trouble for the most part. So what they did was they pressured this one kid out of 8 of us, and he admitted to it. Didn't tell us that he admitted to it, so we continued to lie. And then, make a long story short, we got screwed over because we lied to NCOs, and that's how they got us. And they kicked out 30 people from the battalion, from that company alone, a whole platoon, gone out. Made them the whole company non-deployable. Turns out they were the only company that did not go to Somalia because Alpha went after the Black Hawk Down business to kind of support Bravo company that got fucked up. But lo and behold, everything went to the toilet. Morale went to shit. I got booted out along with the other guys, and
Was that the end of your career?
luckily no, because I fought to get my rank back after I got booted out. Got back, went into the guard shortly after, and then made it all the way up to command sergeant major, was the highest rank possible.
Jay, is it okay if I ask him if he was in Mogadishu?
Nah,
I forget what that was.
Remember, I asked you,
Oh.
were you in Mogadishu? And you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
everybody in Mogadishu?
I don't-
yeah,
I was in middle school, so no.
sounds a
I
shit
will-
story.
So I think this
I'll
is
say that.
this is like you were in Mogadishu. Well,
Unfortunately, was not.
was not.
It was a Mexican.
Juarez.
Juarez, yeah.
Yeah.
My wife still
But
does
that
not
was
let me live that down because it did almost fuck my career over. It derailed me for a while. Took a while to get back.
so that's a that so all right. You've had a story, Luke, about how your career almost got fucked over.
Yeah.
You've had a story about how
Oh, I got
how-
several.
all right,
but
so-
that's just one.
the Navy, I don't feel like it was as easy in the Navy to get your career. At least maybe I was just like always on the up and up. I was maybe a goody two shoe. I don't know. But I feel like you guys, how easy is it to get your career fucked up? Talk to the mic.
Depends on the unit. Like
Yeah.
in Ranger Bats, one misstatement.
Well,
You know,
they have what's called RFS, Relief for Standards.
Yeah.
It's a thing that they have where if you break any standard, to include a misfire with a blank ammunition, you are gone. Like any simple
And what year
like,
was that?
infraction, you're gone.
What year was that?
That was 1993.
Who was the
One
president?
of my best friends from basic training that I went through
Pull
basic
that mic
with.
up close to your mouth.
I went
Sorry.
to basic training with airborne school, ranger indoctrination, everything. We went to the same battalion, and he had he had a accidental discharge, negligent discharge, whatever you want to call it, with a blank. Doing some battle drills. He running with his rifle, dove down on the ground, hit the ground hard, and popped off one blank round of ammunition, and he was released for standards. And I'm telling you, this guy was probably like one of the most squared away guys that I had met to that point, as far as like young soldiers, and was like one of the guys I was like, this guy's gonna lead a company one day.
How long had
and
he
then-
been in?
We were maybe 6 months into our career at battalion.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know, it's like 14 weeks of OSIT and 3 weeks of airborne, 3 weeks of RIP at that point, and so on. But yeah, like the unit, we had the blue book, right? We had like a little, handbook of all the rules that you had to follow as a member of the Ranger Regiment, in addition to everything you had to follow as just like serving in the military. And yeah, any one of those little rules, it's like easy to get launched. But at the same time, I'll say you want guys who are willing to do the rowdy stuff. You need
Yeah.
guys who are going to go, do that kind of crazy stuff, because when you have them overseas in combat, you need risk takers to a degree. Not recklessness, but you need people who are going to do, some crazy stuff. So I don't know. Launching guys for something like that, I think, is maybe a stretch, but
That is interesting, by the way. It does matter who the commander in chief is, I believe. And I don't want to go I'm not trying to go political with this, but it does matter who the commander in chief is as far as what they allow you to do and not to do. Go ahead, Scott. You want to say something?
I want you to finish that, but
Pull-
I just
pull-
need to say it.
Pull it up to your
when
mouth
you,
there.
when you get into a combat zone,
Yeah.
that's all gone. It's all gone. All the rules that you were restricted by somehow, in some ways, fall away, and then you're left to your own device, which is freedom in a way. It's
But isn't it? But can't you get in trouble then? Like if you do something, how easy is it to get in trouble?
well, it's rules of engagement, but again, it's whose call if you're the only ones there.
You're probably left with it's on your own morality. You know what I mean? It's not just ROEs and stuff like that. It's like, I think of Luke all the time when it comes to making good decisions. Like for real. Like when it comes, like even like present day, Like when I have to make a decision, when I kick into that decision-making process thing, and I'm
What
going
would
through my
Luke do?
checklist. No, seriously, like right on. Like I think like, what would Bonin do? Right? Like what's this dude up to? Because like I hold him on that standard, but like it's where he places his
I
morals.
appreciate
so
that.
like
Deb.
it's
I
no,
really
it's,
do.
it's all cool, brother. Like that's just how I look up to him. So yeah, ROEs, whatever. It comes down to what fucking makes sense, right? Like what works.
What's right?
WWLD. What would Luke do?
What Jesus would do.
You know what? I'm gonna start thinking. I'm gonna start applying that to my life too. What would Luke do? He would feed a homeless person on the side of the road.
I've seen a few things Luke wouldn't do. I can tell you
Please
that.
share. Please share.
No, I'm not sharing that. No.
Brian.
Luke was definitely the voice of morality because we were in Jack and Luke and I were in a unit together, the PTAE, that would go when we would train guys going overseas, and I was the officer in charge of it, and Luke was like my right hand man, and I would bounce stuff off of Luke a lot because the rest of us were just thugs and pirates, And
Luke was Jiminy Cricket.
He was the what is the standard?
yeah.
Like Luke was always the standard guy, right? Like
That is
He
true.
was.
Yes.
He was.
what's the benchmark?
Luke was Jiminy Cricket. Brian, you haven't really piped in much here on this
That's
conversation.
not exactly a bad thing.
You know what I want to hear, Brian? I want to hear you tell me the story how you.
How I almost ruined my career.
Yeah. But no, I want to hear the story about India Point, where
Which
you were
time,
like
Jason?
riding on the back of a car or on the hood of a car or something like that.
Hood of a car.
Hood of
All
a
right,
car. So come on, tell
I-
for ruining your career.
tell this story.
I was a police officer in Providence. In addition to being a National Guard soldier, I was a police officer in Providence, and I happened to be doing an accident report in the Hess gas station on Eddy Street, right near Allen's Avenue. And I look over at the Point Street Bridge to my left, and I see a car just coming over the crest. And I see what looks to be a human being on the hood of the car and the
A human
windshield of
ornament.
the car. And I don't want to startle him because if I hit the siren, he might fall off at 30 miles an hour.
There's no brakes on the hood.
But if somebody applies the brakes from the inside of the car, someone could go flying off. And I say to myself, how do I delicately ask him to come down? So I hit the lights on and off, and I hit the air horn, and he jumps off the hood of the car. It comes to a stop. I know the driver. We won't mention his name. But I meet the person on the windshield and on the hood. And he comes
Had you
toward
known him
me.
before?
I did not.
Okay.
And I kind of waved him over. I'm like, come here. And he comes over to my windshield. I said, what are you doing? He says, just surfing a car. That's what one does at 2:30 in the morning. And I said, do you have any ID on you? He goes, would it help if I said I was in the military? I said, yeah, that'll help. Go ahead. And he hands me his pink reserve ID card. And I look at it, and it says OCS, and his name, Officer Candidate School. And I look at it, and I'm like, oh, I have one of these too. And I reach into my wallet, and I take mine out. Mine says Captain in the reserve component. And I show him ID, and he goes, oh, no.
So what happened?
So then the driver of the vehicle gets out, and I recognize him, and he comes over, and he says, hello, Brian. I said, hello. Make him go away. And he puts him in the passenger seat, and they go away because
That was it?
that was it.
You didn't do any like.
So
you
the
didn't-
next time I see him, we're actually deploying. We're getting ready. We're being hand selected
What the?
for our deployment. And I look over, and he goes, I don't know if you remember me. And I went, dun 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 dun.
Yeah, there's 9 years between the two meetings. But I guess it's just
Had
a
you
point.
matured a little bit?
A little bit. No, I mean maybe not.
Not much.
But
So now he's a captain.
oh yeah,
Then
yeah.
he's a captain, and
No, he's the captain.
Yeah, he was a major at the time, and I was a cat. I made it. So, but talk about ruining careers. That would have been the end of
short
that career.
stint.
Yeah.
Brian, he thanks you for not ruining his career.
But just
hindsight being 2020, he would have not deployed on that one he was
yeah.
trying to get out of. Going, no, I've already deployed. I'm good. I'm starting a family. I have a business. I don't really want to go. That would have been okay.
Yeah,
You-
thanks for screwing me.
For screwing you.
But just one of the things we've been saying about like Luke said and Scott said, and having the guys that do the crazy stuff, you know what I mean? Like when I was in high school, I felt out of place, you know what I mean? Like I was a different breed, and I train, I went to Ranger schools, special forces schools, so in selection, so a lot of times kids that want to do these things will come to me and they'll ask me, to train them. Like I was a football coach, so a lot of those football players, neighbors, I trained some neighbors, and one of the things I tell them, because they all feel out of place, their parents are having problems with them, they're hellions, and I tell the kids, I'm like, you might feel out of place here, but when you get to an infantry platoon, you're gonna fit right in. It's gonna be a bunch. No, it really.
Yeah, right.
Like I felt like the black sheep in a field full of white sheep, and then when I got to Fort Benning, I was like,
I need to step it up.
no, I was like,
I
yeah.
don't think I'm ready.
No, but yeah, I was like, these are my people. These are the people I'm supposed to be around. And I tell those kids all the time, when you get there, you're gonna feel like you're in your pond. You're a fish out of water right now, but you're gonna feel like you're in your pond. And to a person, when I talk to them after they've been down there, they all tell me, "You were right. You were right. I fit in here."
Finally
The problem is, you have to go home at some point. You know what I mean? So.
And everybody's moved on.
No, Jason's right, because I remember when I went to basic. I mean, in high school, I had earned a scholarship to RISD. I was graphic illustrator, all this, and I did a tour of the school, and I said, "Fuck no, this place is not for me."
Yeah.
So after the visit at the school, I told my dad. I said, "Dad, just drive me to the recruiter's office." And next thing I know, I'm signed up in the Army and I'm going. But I remember a guy in basic training who was from West Virginia. The drill sergeants jumped all over him, and what he was doing was he was collecting locusts and grasshoppers, and he was putting them in a Ziploc bag.
The drill sergeant.
No, one of the trainees.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're familiar with the movie No Time for Sergeants. It's a pretty old movie with Andy
I don't know
Griffith.
that movie,
Yeah.
actually.
So this guy reminded me. I grew up. My dad watched the movie. My dad, and this guy reminded me. We had gone to CIF to get our gear, and this guy, they gave him the boots, and it was like we had just given him a Gucci bag, But he was collecting these things, and the drill sergeant goes, "Private, what are you doing?" He goes, "What's in your mouth? You stealing food from the mess hall?" He goes, "Oh, drill sergeant, I'm just eating my locusts." And the drill sergeant goes, What? He goes, "How the hell do you do that?" He goes, "It's easy, drill sergeant. You just break the legs off so they don't jump around in your mouth." I said, "Boy, this guy's crazy." So when you talk about like being in a different element and people that are just batshit crazy,
That's your military.
that's us.
Locust
Well-
is a good protein.
Protein.
It is. I can attest to that.
Is that what you had to eat in India?
No, in Iraq.
Iraq?
Yeah, no. I actually went on a mission. I don't remember anything about the mission, but we came back from doing a raid in Iraq one day, and we're all de-gearing, back in the hooch, kind of debriefing and whatnot. And I'm sitting there on my bunk, and one of the guys like, "Dude, what's that on your leg?" I had a giant locust on my leg, on the leg of my pants, and one of the guys like, just of course, naturally, somebody offers money to watch me
Naturally.
eat it.
Yeah,
Naturally.
So they're like,
Naturally.
one guy's like, "Hey, $5 to eat that," and then another guy's like, $10, and like $5, and like, you get up to $50, which this was, I don't know, 04 or 05 or something like that. And
Big money.
yeah, so I'm like, $50 to eat this? They're like, yeah, I'm like, done.
What it tastes like, chicken?
Grass. Yeah.
So that's kind of like on the sub.
And
right?
I did not take the legs off. That would have been less protein.
Whole thing.
So
I
we
ate the whole thing.
You're
$50.
You're at the locust.
we did things like that on the submarine. We would have this book of challenges, and man, I don't even know why I'm even sharing.
Yeah,
this
well, we
story.
heard about those.
I don't want. Yeah, you know what? I don't even know if I want to share.
I
this
don't want to
story.
hear anymore. My grandfather was on a submarine. He didn't
One-
tell any stories. He just said, "Don't go on a submarine."
You know what? I'm not going to share that story. This is not like I'm just thinking
He
about
said
it
it was
now.
only to keep warm.
I'm thinking about.
Last time I was here, I think we ended the show, and I said every veteran has a story and it matters. So you can't stop now.
Ah,
You can't stop,
Christ,
Caleb.
why did I
Tell your story.
No, it's not really that big a deal. One of the challenges was to go into the Chiefs, which are E7s in the Navy, had a at least on the submarine they had this thing called the Chiefs Mess or the Chiefs Quarters, which was at the very forward of the boat, and it was like a little lounge area, and then they had just like a little rack area that had maybe, I don't know, 10 racks in it. And one of the challenges was we had to.
He's twitching.
I
twitching.
want to tell the story.
Switch it.
We had to climb. We had to find our way into the Chiefs' bunk room, lay in one of their racks with no clothes on.
Oh,
Check,
Now you
please.
see why I don't want to share the story.
so the
Check,
stories
please.
are true.
I never did it. I never did it. I never did it. But I was just saying, this is one of the crazy stories where stupid
Check, please.
veterans do stupid things.
I got a story about a bed.
You're gonna be naked in
Two
it.
men, two men that climbed into bed with each other. But I think somebody would be able to tell that way better, like either Jack or Brian would be able to.
Oh,
Jack,
boy.
I want to hear it.
It's about
I don't even remember this one.
because it's about Jason climbing.
Jason, you were
Somebody crawled into bed with somebody. Oh, like I said,
all right, Brian.
There may have been some drinking that
Hey.
night.
Luke said it.
Yeah.
Every story matters.
Every story matters.
and by the way, this is prior to the deployment. During our
Yeah, it was
our
during
build
the,
up to the deployment.
during the train up at Camp Funston in Kansas, Fort Riley, Kansas, and I remember the exact night. It was the night that the Patriots played the Jaguars in the playoff game.
Yep.
We all got rip roaring. We went downtown, got rip roaring hammered, came back, ran through the New York guys' barracks, screaming and yelling, and then we came back and anyway, go ahead with your naked
so-
bunk story.
There was no naked. There was just bunk story. So
That's not what I heard.
So I got up, I went to the bathroom, I came back, and I got into what I thought was my bunk. No harm, no foul.
And look at the size of this guy.
Were you this size when you were there?
maybe 60 pounds later, give or
Huh.
take.
Okay.
So I get into my
Maybe.
bunk, I fall asleep. I get a tap on my shoulder, like, hey. I'm like, what? He goes, you're in my bunk. And I wake up and I look around and I go, oh. So I get up and I move one bunk over and I go to sleep. I don't think anything of it. Apparently what happened was I got up, I counted the bunks as I went, but I was going in a different direction. I normally come in from the other way.
Wait, you jumped in the
So I jumped in a Neary's bunk.
And then you went one over to I remember this
And I
now.
went one bunk over. and I
Neary
went to
was
my
below
bed.
me, yeah.
So Neary never said a
fucking
word.
freak.
He just spooned for a little bit.
Are you telling me he spooned with you?
And then he finally gave me the elbow and said, "You're in the wrong bunk." And I got up and I went over to the right bunk. So it was no big deal. But ultimately he garnered some heat out of me because I do throw heat a little bit. So he
Whoa.
Or he
warmed
was
up and
dreaming of being
realized.
with a fat chick.
I did warn you guys. Disclaimer.
So he rose. To,
I heard you pinned him up against the wall. Is what I heard.
there was some spooning, but there was heat throwing only.
Sure.
I got into my bunk. That man made full bird colonel. I got out as major. So I clearly didn't do this for any rank
Obviously, you
benefit.
didn't do it right.
I didn't cut anybody's hair.
Slept with the wrong ass.
He spooned with the wrong person.
I didn't choose wisely.
Well,
There
Man.
were no Gatorade bottles involved.
Gatorade bottles. All right. Okay. Thanks for the pass off, Jay. Gatorade bottles.
No idea what he's talking about.
Uh-huh. Luke, tell me what he's not telling.
I wasn't there for that.
Oh.
No.
Scott.
If I can recall it correctly, it was another liquid night. It might have been when they lost the game at the Super Bowl, the Patriots. Can't remember. All those days are a blur, pretty much. But I think it was a night where instead of getting up to go to the bathroom, supposedly you pissed in a bottle, but maybe not.
No, wrong. No. So we had
See, this is what I'm saying. You should have told the story in the
so
beginning.
we had free pallets of Gatorade at the end of weren't there pallets of Gatorade they gave us at the in the common area. So everyone always had Gatorade. You know, you had a half drank bottle of Gatorade.
We all know where this is going.
Yeah, so I was in the top bunk, and Teddy Marrero, you know, God rest his soul, was on the bottom bunk. And yeah, good man. He so I got on top bunk, and at some point I put the Gatorade bottle on top of the wall locker because I was top bunk. The top of the wall locker was right there. In the middle of the night, I simply knocked the Gatorade bottle over, and it seeped through the mattress onto Teddy, and Teddy woke up in the middle of the night going, "You peed on me." He was Puerto Rican, so "You pee on me, you pee on me," and he woke everybody up. He's like, "He pee on me," and I'm like, "No, Teddy," and I showed him the Gatorade bottle. It was Gatorade.
And to this day, we still all think he peed on him and himself.
So did you?
No,
Like this is
Gatorade
the
bottle.
time to tell. Like you can come.
No, I wasn't even wet.
You can come clean. It's okay.
I jumped out of the bunk and I showed him that I wasn't wet. It was like from my knee
All right.
to my shin, but to my ankle was wet.
Pants, I
Captain.
swear.
All right. This is. I'm gonna come clean. I'm gonna come clean. I'm gonna tell you a story.
It was in the book of challenges. He had to.
I haven't known him long enough.
Hey, we're gonna open the podcast book of challenges here in a minute.
No. Captain Bernacchi. I'm gonna tell you right now. If you ever watch this,
Oh boy.
Here it goes.
so there is in the control room on a submarine, we have what they call a rover, and his whole job is to go get coffee, go wake up people, get people like the control the control room uses him to do like a messenger boy. Private. So he comes down. I already had my fish. Like I was already qualified. There's a whole story up to this point, but at any rate, I'm sitting on the mess decks. I'm on the mid rats, which is like after like late at night. I'm sitting on the mess decks, and he comes down and he has like 7 coffee mugs, and he sets them all on the table. And he goes and he uses the bathroom or the head, whatever you want to call it. We called it the head on the boat.
Latrine.
Latrine, head, whatever you want to call it. As he's gone, the chief cook dares me to go pour salt in all the glasses. So I did. I went over and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I poured salt in all the glasses. He comes back and he pours coffee in all the glasses and he takes them up to the control room. Just so happens the skipper was in the control room that night. Captain was in the control room. And he didn't know why his coffee tasted like salt. So he wakes up the ELT, he wakes up the nuke, and they start taking water samples because he thought the water got contaminated. Captain, it was me. I did it. Court martial me. And he swore if I find out who did that, I'm taking him to captain's mass.
Right to the mat.
Oh, you might have to explain what captain's mass is.
Oh, that's just like not court martial, but it's when you go before the captain and they give
UCMJ, like Article
UCMJ
Article
article.
15,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
Is that where
I
the
forgot.
Navy gives you like the paddling or something like that in your ass?
I don't know, maybe. But at any rate, Captain, that was me. I did it. Anyways, that was 2006. Anyway, you know what? This is what's nice about this show is that we're bringing back tavern culture, right? Tavern culture is it's where you could sit, you could talk, you could argue, you could fight, but then you look at your clock and you say, "Oh, it's 5 o'clock. Let's go grab dinner." And you're allowed to have disagreements at the table, And that's kind of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to bring back tavern culture. So go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I'm on the wagon because of tavern culture. You know?
Nothing wrong with
that's
being on
not-
the wagon.
A little bit, maybe one too many disagreements at the table.
That's not what I heard. But anyway, so if you're listening to this right now, we're going to take a break here in a minute because my eyes are starting to turn yellow. If you're listening to this right now, all of you listeners, there's a lot of you, a ton of you, 8. Like, subscribe right now, subscribe and share, and tell your buddies to watch us.
So what are we going to get into when we come back? Just to wet their whistle, a little combat stuff, a little...
Yeah, so I like, I'll be honest, I enjoyed when you guys were talking about the things that you did when you were not, what's it, Oconus, Inconus, what's the words?
Deployed?
Deployed, not deployed. It's only gay underway. It's not queer on the pier.
I was gonna say, Caleb, if you really have to pee that bad, you don't have to leave the room. You could just pee on Brian's leg and tell him it's Gatorade.
Well, you know, Brian might spoon with me.
He's immediately on the naughty list.
Are you a Santa, right? You're a Santa. Yeah, I can see it. Anyway, so when we come back, yeah, we'll get back into
He's
some...
more like the Bumble, the abominable snowman. You know what I mean? The thing that tried to eat
Jack.
Rudolph's girlfriend.
All right.
Yukon Jack.
I see it. I see it right there. You are Santa. So what we're going to do, we're going to go on a break. We'll be back. Probably give us about 5-10 minutes. We'll be back and we'll get into some of the more gruesome side of being a veteran. We'll be back.
When the lights go out or the shelves run bare, most folks panic. Don't be that guy. My Patriot Supply Survival Starter Plan gives you real food, sealed to last 25 years. Toss a kit in the closet or the truck, and you're all set. Get 10% off at preparewithcumberlandunfiltered.com and be ready before the next storm hits.
Welcome back, guys. Hopefully you shared, hopefully you liked, hopefully you subscribed. This is what makes our show go in places that it doesn't usually go. You know what I learned? I learned that YouTube only promotes your stuff to like 5% of your subscribers. Unless you
All right,
pay
this is
money.
pretty boring.
Yeah, sorry. And we're back. Brian, before the camera went back live, you were talking about spooning people again. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You were talking about shit blowing up. All right, tell us the story. I want to hear this.
while spooning.
I think other people
I
sorry.
mentioned that we were out in an area where we initially said we want to set up our points in town.
Pull it closer to your mouth.
We want to set up our points in town. We don't want to be out in an open field where they can actually set up on us and rocket and mortar us. We want to do it in town. That way, if they shoot past us, they're going to hit their neighbor. We want to set up in town. And they said, you don't know what you're talking about. You're going to set up in this open field. So they began construction and they set us up in an open field. And then we began getting rocketed and mortared just as we predicted. Not just me. There were other people saying, don't do this. Long story short. So we're getting rocketed and mortared. And I dove into my vehicle with my pants around my ankle because I was just having a moment.
Because you were spooning somebody?
No. I was having a defecation moment. So dove into the vehicle, had enough time to wipe, thank God. Dove into the passenger vehicle, passenger seat.
I didn't know the story was going here.
Yeah, right. I didn't either. Thanks for that.
You're
So
Anything I can do to
the
keep
rocket comes in. It's about 25 meters to the left of the
Brian, put the
front
mic to your
windshield.
mouth. Yeah, make believe it's Friday night.
Make believe I'm in the Army. So round lands, and I actually watched as a piece of shrapnel went by the windshield and embedded in the riverbank. We had a little bit of an uptick. So we get the all clear. I get out. I take out my e-tool. And I walk over to the hillside. They're like, "What are you doing?"
What's an
As
E
I'm-
tool?
An entrenching tool.
Okay, like a shovel.
Foldable shovel.
Gotcha. All right.
So
go
I
ahead.
walk over and I dig into the embankment. They're like, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, I saw a piece of shrapnel land, explode over here, and I saw a piece go over there. And I dig about a foot into the hillside, pull out a shrapnel piece about this big. It's still hot. It's still, as I touch it, it's slicing my fingertips and cutting in, and I'm bleeding, but it's hot.
And you're still touching it?
Yes, because I really wanted to keep it.
Pull the mic up to your mouth.
Hold the bloody mic up to the mic. So I grabbed the thing. I put it in my, like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I actually saw it explode, and I saw it go across the windshield, and I saw it land, and I dug in and I got it." They're like, "You couldn't possibly." It went, you can't watch that. But it was like time slowed down. I don't know if other people have experienced time slowing down, but I actually watched it land, and I watched it go across the windshield, and I watched it bury.
I feel like time has stopped with this story.
That's a good question, though. Like, seriously, though, that's a good question. I want to take this into a dark place. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not a dark place. I want to take this down that path. What moments have you all experienced something like that, where time slows and you just like all of a sudden things that normally the normal person would not notice, but because adrenaline is flowing and things are happening like so quickly? Have you all had that? Have you had that experience?
I've had a similar one to that.
Yeah.
My
Jason, torpedo you too?
no,
No, he
no.
he poured Gatorade on him.
No, my first tour in Iraq, we spent most of our time in Ramadi, and we had done one patrol to Fallujah, which was a hot spot at the time. And we were on our way back from Fallujah to Ramadi, and we took fire. And we were driving, at the time, we were in Upper Armored Humvees. But the trucks that we had, they had removed like the trunk from the back of the Humvee and welded in what we called the penalty box. And I had done a couple of missions previously as a saw gunner where I had been in the back seat of the Humvee. So the M249 saw is a squad automatic weapon. It's essentially like the smallest machine gun that you can carry. But I was like, I'm useless in like sitting inside. So I had opted to sit in the penalty box in the back, which just had some 1/2-inch steel plates welded on. That was the only armor you had.
Why'd they call it the penalty box?
Because it looked like a penalty box
Oh,
for
okay.
like hockey.
Okay.
You know,
Sorry,
so-
I didn't mean to derail.
Yeah.
Just
So,
go ahead.
imagine, a bed of a small pickup truck, and then you weld little steel walls around the sides for some protection, but it's really not anything at all. And so I'm sitting back there with my saw, and because I'm like, this is the only way I'm going to be able to shoot back at anybody. We have a top gunner, but that's just one guy.
As opposed to people useless inside the vehicle doing nothing but.
Right. So we came under fire and we took a couple of RPGs, and it happened like really fast. We were driving blackout, under nods and whatnot. And so we were just like driving as fast as we could, come under fire. RPG comes right, and I'm sitting in the back, and my buddy Steve I think he was in the front passenger seat of the Humvee behind us. And RPG comes, one off of a rooftop, one out of an alleyway. And I literally just like watched it. I was like, there's literally nothing you can do. It's
So you watched the RPG.
yeah, and it went right in between us, and hit the wall, like went right in between the back of my truck and my buddy Steve. So like we're both like watching the same thing. Fortunately, but to your point,
Time slowed.
time slows down because you're watching the thing that very easily could be your demise. And fortunately, we came out of that one unscathed. But yeah, I mean that was
Jason,
my similar moment.
So that is like literally though. That's
dig it out of the wall.
No. I'm pretty sure I was yelling to the driver, "Go faster!"
step
We're
on
not
it. Step
stopping.
on it.
Yeah,
Go,
yeah.
man. All right, so if you're listening to this, please share this. We want people to to listen to us and to understand what these guys went through. Take it out of the wall. So, what about anybody else experienced that? Did
Yeah,
you have a story?
My first tour in Iraq.
Was that when you were cutting?
No, it was
cutting
before 2003, 2004.
Saddam's hair?
No, that's following year.
Did that time slow down then?
No, not at all.
It's the longest haircut ever.
But my first tour, I was attached to the Iraq survey group, which was a coalition team. We had Australians, Brits, and it was all SF teams. And I was attached to do security planning and for the A teams and stuff. And we were on a movement down Route Irish, and everybody knows the Route Irish was, we called it IED Alley. The first time I ever had any effect with an IED, the IED went off, and I could just remember the vehicle just lifting up, and a whole Humvee just filled with, I don't know, dust, dirt, whatever it was.
So the whole Humvee lifted up.
Yeah, and it's just that, that moment going on, and when it come down to rest, and I mean the explosion, the concussion just. I just remember going, checking shit, making sure I'm good. And it didn't hit our vehicle. It hit the
Thank
vehicle
goodness.
behind us. But that was the concussion that.
So what
really-
happened to the vehicle behind
Oh, it
you?
was decimated. And,
Was it?
It was one of those things we finally got out, and because it was a small scale ambush that they were shooting at us. We started returning fire, which we tried to get to it was a LMTV, like a 5-ton truck.
Yeah.
That got hit behind us, moving supplies. And a young kid, he was just, he was pretty much melted. And
Wow.
we're trying to recover him. And at the same time, we had a British EOD guy say, get in the vehicles and move, because it was a daisy chain.
Yeah.
And that was probably the beginning of when we started seeing IEDs. And
What was the first experience? So I know, so 2001, right? The Twin Towers were
right.
hit. Wasn't long after that we went into Afghanistan.
Correct.
What was were you in during that time?
Was I in?
Like, did you go to Afghanistan right then?
No.
At that
no,
point?
No.
No.
No. My
How
tour in
much longer?
Afghanistan was 2011,
Oh.
2012.
Oh wow. So that was
Yeah.
ways. Any of you go during that first?
Luke, you were there, right?
No, I
SF,
yeah.
First of SF and CIA type of guys, they were like trying to get Afghans to fight Afghans first,
Gotcha.
for like the first year before they started sending conventional units, which is like,
Mule units.
yeah, they didn't send in regular units for like a couple years afterwards.
But you were in Mogadishu.
like 12 Soldiers, I think, is that movie based on? Was that time?
I'm just kidding. You weren't. No. I was saying though that was like Mogadishu was long before, and you were doing stuff. Apparently, you were doing stuff back in Nam. So Luke, you had a story. It wasn't long after 9/11 had happened when so last time you were here, you told us a story about a unit that you were a part of, or the unit that you were a part of, and remind us of that story. Like, tell us what
Yeah. So,
happened.
Yeah, I enlisted right before 9/11, and then I went in. I entered service after 9/11, and it took about a year before I had my first deployment. So my first deployment was to Afghanistan. We were there for 5 months. It was supposed to be a 3-month deployment, and then we invaded Iraq. So guys who were part of the initial invasion of Iraq, that happened. We were already at war in Afghanistan, so we got stuck there. And then my second tour was in April of 2004. So I come back from my first tour, got married, went to Ranger School, came back, went right on another deployment.
That's when I went into the service.
In 04.
Yeah.
So now
Sorry.
you're gonna make me feel old. Uh, so
I was
yeah,
22.
so at that point we were on a 45-day surge, and we were in Coast, Afghanistan. Well, I know that surge has different connotations for different people, in a lot of ways negative ones, but for us, the normal rotation for a Ranger battalion was a 90-day deployment when combat operations are going on. 90 days on, 180 days back at home. There's 3 battalions, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and generally speaking, you would do about a 3-month tour, come home for 6 months, have your leave, retrain, get ready for the next mission. But once Iraq kicked off at the same time, the op tempo was just the operational tempo, meaning the number of missions, the demands on all these units was way too high. So what they would do is if 3rd Battalion was deployed, split between Afghanistan and Iraq, they would take a company or 2 from one of the other battalions that was at home refitting and surge them to augment. So in April of 2004, we were surging to augment another battalion. I couldn't tell you which one. And so I think it was Charlie Company, 2nd Battalion, and 1 platoon from Alpha Company. No, I'm sorry. It was Alpha Company and I think a platoon from Charlie. Anyway, doesn't make a difference. At that time, by then Pat Tillman had enlisted, had left his career behind in the NFL, which is an incredibly noble thing
Did you
to
guys
do.
know the story?
And his brother Kevin also was a baseball player, I believe, had a professional career as well, minor league baseball player working his way up, and they enlisted together, and came to 2nd Battalion together and served together in the same platoon. And so it was this deployment in Coast that we were, same thing. We were rotating through different roles. My platoon had just come off of QRF, Quick Reaction Force. We had just kind of downgraded our vehicles, and Pat's platoon was the primary platoon for direct missions at that point. So everybody kind of rotates through roles on these deployments. You're taking a turn being primary, you're taking a turn being QRF, you're taking a turn kind of, in resetting and refitting and so on. So they had gone on a long range patrol, a mounted patrol with Humvees. They encountered some difficulty with one of their vehicles, had broken down, and there was discussion about, whether or not they should scuttle the mission or drive on with the mission. I think that the leadership in the platoon at that time, wanted to destroy the vehicle that was damaged. I think it had just broken down. We broke so many Humvees on these deployments. They just couldn't handle the terrain. They're too wide. The terrain was too rugged. We were breaking vehicles down all the time, and they were just, yeah. So
Overheat.
ultimately, the guidance they were given was, hey, we need you to press on to the objective. And no, you can't blow the Humvee in place, and we can't sling load it out with a helicopter. So tow it back. So they made arrangements to essentially have the vehicle towed by an Afghan jingle truck.
The jingle truck.
Yeah. And so unfortunately, the platoon got split in half. Half to continue the mission, half to recover the vehicle. I think most people know, generally what happened. They were ambushed on the way back, and unfortunately, Pat was killed in a firefight. I think the investigation later indicated that he was killed by friendly fire, which was something that was not immediately known, at least not I was an E4 at the time, so these things weren't things that I was privy to.
Right.
I'll say, and I do want to, kind of bring it up. I brought this up the last time we talked about this. Pat and I were in different platoons. I'm not
Sure,
going to
yeah.
pretend like we were best buddies. I didn't know him well.
But you said you run into him a couple
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
Yeah.
tough to miss. Really, really humble, down to earth guy. In my experience, but I also don't want to overplay my relationship with him. I would say a little more than acquaintances within the company.
Sure. Yeah.
but it being Veterans Day, I do remember, we had, the ceremony there in Coast afterwards, where you have, the boots, the rifle, the beret. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, like essentially like the
Soldier's Cross.
the Soldier's Cross.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we had, in the days afterwards, we went into like a media blackout. You couldn't call home, couldn't talk to anybody. And we had this, ceremony, and everybody kind of cycles by. And again, I didn't know Pat well to have much to think or to say or whatever. But even from one veteran to another, when it was my turn, I'll never forget this. I stood there searching for like, what would I say? What should I say? What's the right thing in this moment? And all I could think to say was thank you. This was a guy that had everything that a person could aspire to gain, in the United States as far as freedom goes, and just like living the American dream. And I hate the way that story ended, but I don't think that it cheapens the decision that he made. And so, to me, just thank you was the
Thank
the
you
right
for your
thing.
service.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like, do you thank these guys? Do you do you thank these guys for the service from the grave? Like, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
And so, all right.
Just on that, I mean, like I kind of left this out, but when the ambush happened, we had just finished downgrading our vehicles from being QRF, and then the third platoon that was with us at Coast was not from our company. And I just remember my first sergeant saying, "It's my platoon in contact. I want one of my platoons being out there." So we jumped back on the trucks when we did go back out, and it took hours. And Coast, you couldn't. They had an airstrip, and they had an airfield, but you couldn't keep more than a couple aircraft there overnight. I think at the time we had 2 Hueys and 2 Cobras that were operated by the Marine Corps. But it wasn't enough to send a QRF out. So we had to drive, and it took hours and hours to get out there. They did send a QRF out via aircraft to do medevac and whatnot. But by the time we got there, the fight was over. We stayed out for a good while on the hunt. And then eventually made it back. And like I said, at the time, just being a lowly E4, we didn't understand or really know exactly what had happened until much later.
Jay, you were shot, like you were hit by something, weren't you? Like,
Yeah,
so
RPG, but it wasn't going slow. Like,
Jay,
guys were talking
all right,
about.
so we've been at this now, Jay, for almost a year, not quite a year. And we have yet to talk to you about your military service. Like, you bring it up from time to time, but there were things that you went through that most people don't realize. What was that experience? Like, what happened? Tell us that story.
I mean, I got
If you want to talk about it.
quite a few firefights in Afghanistan. One of them we talked a little bit about the last time Jack was here. We were going through Chadawal Bazaar. It was just probably like my 5th or 6th firefight. And, like I said, we had the Afghan National Police we were training, and they would always drive ahead, and they'd get on hilltops, and they'd wait for you to come by, and then they'd drive ahead again and get another hilltop. You kept telling them, stop going to the same goddamn hilltop, because not only can we see you, but the Taliban can see you going on these hilltops. So,
Do you know somebody named Nick the Quick?
Who?
Nick the Quick.
I don't.
He just sent a message. Jason Dean, it's Jeff Aharon, A-H-E-R.
Ahern.
Oh, hey.
Ahern.
Jeff Ahern. Yeah.
Yeah, he
You know
sent
that
a
guy?
message. He said, down in D.C. for a year.
Nick the
Happy
Quick.
Vets Day, bro.
Oh. Wow.
Hi, Jeff.
So
Hey, Jeff. That's what they say. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm
you
just,
did though.
well, I mean, someone said hi to you. I
I
wanted
would
you
say
to
to my
know
kids,
that
did you
somebody
mean not
was listening.
to?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm
Somebody
just
was
playing.
somebody
Look, I'm getting a
commented.
text message. Let me read my text message. Jeez.
No, this is for you. It was
Oh,
for you.
thanks.
Hi, Jeff. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, so-
Continue.
So that was a later one than when I got hit with the RPG. But so these AMP would go up to the hilltop. Sure enough, they get blown up, like vaporized, and then as we're going through the bazaar, and they were on the hilltop, and then the Taliban hit us at the bazaar. So we can't fire back because all the buildings and all the people are there. So we're trying to pick between these buildings to suppress the fire as we're going through. We're getting pinged, and when we finally get to where the AMP got, there was 7 of them, and 5 of them were just Afghan National Police. 5 of them were just gone. They were just wiped out immediately. The other 2 had amputations. So we fought to them, and then by the time we got there, they put them in a different vehicle, and they were going out to Fob Sharona, where Jack was. You were.
No, they were going to Banasar. Oh, no.
No, Banasarde. They went by Banasarde. We were on our way to Banasarde Dam. Yeah. So that's a story we were talking about last time. So we get the vehicle. They didn't make it. They died on the way. But I end up pulling up to Banasarde Dam, and there's Jack. Jack is doing a barbecue we talked about last time. And we pull
The
up.
tarp thief.
Yeah, the
Sorry,
tarp
go ahead.
thief. Yeah, so we pull up, and we got like shells falling off of our vehicle and everything. And here comes Jack. Basically, he didn't have an apron on, but he should have had an apron on. He's like, man, man, did you hear all that shooting? I'm like, yeah, Jack, I heard it. I heard the shooting.
We'll shoot back.
But the thing you're talking about, so
Yep.
we were in
They shooting at us.
I was in a place called Ghazni, and originally my area of operations was a place called Kogiani. So we were.
Go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
I get easily distracted, and you guys
Yeah.
are fucking distracting me.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. We're trying to do this covertly.
Yeah. So we got in a firefight in Kogiani on the way back from Kogiani from handing out humanitarian aid, and it was an ambush. So we powered through the ambush. They shot up a couple of vehicles. We spent all night trying to get the vehicles back up till we were up till 3 o'clock in the morning trying to get the vehicles, because that was the first day we had MRAPs. MRAPs were the new V-hull vehicles that we up until then we had the up on Humvees, but we didn't have any spare parts for the MRAPs. So we got 2 MRAPs. We ended up getting stripping parts off another MRAP to get them back up, and the next day we went to a place. The next day we went to a place called Wagez. So yeah, we went out to Wagez with our ANP, our Afghan National Police. We got them into there's a district center area they were trying to put out there. We got them into the new district center, and then, one of the things they teach you in Ranger School is never take the same way out that you went in. So we tried to find a different way out, but that doesn't work in Afghanistan with all the hills and stuff. So we're on our way out. We got turned around and lost, and we're coming through a village up around a corner, and the lead vehicle hit an IED, the MRAP in it. And that's the only part that was ever slow motion for me. I was in the second vehicle, and the lead vehicle blew completely straight up in the air, and the gunner got shot out, and he probably got shot out like 15 feet into the air when the vehicle hit.
And you saw that.
Oh yeah, I was right behind it, and the vehicle stood on its rear tires. And then as the vehicle came down, the gunner came back down and landed back on top of the vehicle, and then everything was covered in smoke. There's no fire. The Hollywood, says
Sure,
there's fire, and it's
That's for
just
screening.
smoke.
Yeah.
Just black smoke and dust, and and then all that settles. But there's not. I mean, maybe a flash, but you don't really see the flash.
I got to watch that happen.
So
Wait a
we
minute.
do a perimeter. We're waiting. So we like the same thing Luke said about the vehicles, and they don't ever let you leave a vehicle, especially MRAPs, because we had just gotten them. The vehicle was completely destroyed. Engine was off of it. Front tires were off of it. So we did a perimeter, and we could see all the civilians leaving because we were like kind of coming down into a village. All the civilians started leaving. When the civilians start leaving, you know that they're coming to attack you. So we call the QRF. But the problem was that because the MRAPs were so new, they had never practiced recovering an MRAP. So they didn't know how to do it. So what they did was they didn't tell us this. They just said, yeah, QRF's on the way. But the QRF went with the wrecker and they took tires off of an MRAP and they practiced getting the MRAP onto the wrecker, onto the flatbed. They didn't tell us this. We're just like, we're like maybe a 40-minute drive away from our fob, and here we are 3 hours in, and the QRF is still not here. We're like, what the hell's going on? So
It's not a QRF at
yeah,
that point.
yeah.
It's just an RF.
yeah. So about
Mostly just RF.
so
SRF, slow reaction. Sorry, go
Right.
ahead.
So I'm talking to the F-16s. There's two F-16s flying around overhead, and I'm talking to them on the radio. I'm trying to talk to them. They wouldn't come down, but I'm on the radio. I'm on there freaking. They wouldn't come down and talk to us. And then next thing I know, mortar round blows up probably 30 feet behind me. And it blows the door closed, those big heavy up armored doors. It blows me into the MRAP because I was on the passenger side, we call it TC, the tank commander side. It blows me into the MRAP onto the seat, and I look up at the driver and I said, I'm hit. And I thought my legs were gone because it hurt so bad across the back of my legs. But what happened was the up armored door just slammed on the back of my legs. So I thought that I got hit in the legs, but I didn't. And I turned around and I looked down and I still have my legs. So I turned back to the driver. I say, I'm good. And then next thing I know, I'm waking up on the ground because after the mortar round hit and threw me into the MRAP, an RPG hit the other side of the MRAP and blew me out. It blew me out like 30 feet. And I didn't know until the next day when everyone was doing their, I was reading the sworn statements about what happened, but I was knocked out for like 10 to 15 minutes. I didn't know. In my head, I got blown out of the MRAP. I hit the ground. I popped right back up and started fighting like Rambo. And what really happened was I got blown out. I hit the ground. Everyone thought I was dead.
Knocked the fuck out.
The Afghans, the Taliban attacked us, and they overwhelming fire. We're only 14 guys. There were over 50 of them. Overwhelming fire. I came to, and they said, apparently, in the sworn statement said like, oh, and then, at the time I was a captain, they said Captain Dean started moving, and then they started to direct fire at Captain Dean. And, when they saw that he was still alive, and, it was like rain on the ground, like shit getting pinged up. And there was a bunch of guys saying, get over here, get over here, get over here. And I crawled over to the way where they were in a ditch. I got into the ditch. And because the MRAP that they had just hit with an RPG was still firing the gun, they shot another RPG at it. The other RPG hit, they missed. The other RPG hit the wall 5 feet behind me and this other guy and blew us out into the open again. So I got a little squirrely on that one. That one I didn't go unconscious, but I didn't go unconscious, but I was a little squirrely.
Bumbly.
So then we crawled back, and the mortar rounds were still coming into the perimeter. They were still dropping mortar rounds into our little perimeter, and so now we had two MRAPs that were down. Mine was smoldering. The one that got hit by the IED. The only thing we had left was a Humvee, and the reason we went out with two MRAPs and a Humvee is because the design flaw in the MRAPs meant that you couldn't get the gun down behind it, so you had to go out with two MRAPs and a Humvee. So there was a kid named Lieutenant Davis who was in that Humvee, and they had that 50 cal. They were firing at one of the buildings where we were getting a lot of fire from, and then a mortar round hit right next to that Humvee, and I look around the corner, it was engulfed in dust, and then when dust settled, nobody was there. The 50 cal was right up, nobody was there. So I'm like, oh shit, I'm in charge here. I gotta go across this open ground. And I gotta see if they're okay. So I told the guy that was with me, I'm like, I'm gonna go check on them. I turned the corner, I ran about 15 feet, and then the wall in front of me, because the building was over here, the wall was on my left side. The wall in front of me just exploded. The guy had led me too far with a PKM, which is their version of like the M240 Bravo, M60, and he missed. He led me too much. I fell down on my ass. I turned over. And I started scurrying on all fours, and I got hit with a ricochet in my ESAPI plate, which the ESAPI plates where I took off. Luckily, we had that body armor that Tamaro had gotten us. Yeah, because you couldn't IOT because you couldn't take the ESAPI plates out of that because they were built into it. Yeah, but it saved my life because I got hit with a ricochet, and I know it was a ricochet because it was a keyhole. When I took the plate out, it was a little keyhole thing, and it hit like a mule. I came around the corner. The guy pulled me around the corner. The guy was with me, and then I heard the 50 cal start back up again, so I didn't have to go around that corner again, even though I didn't want to, but I was planning on it. So he started back up again. And then the craziest, most surreal thing that has ever happened to me in my life was we were getting completely suppressed. Like, we're firing back where we can, but we are suppressed. And, we're trying to make sure our perimeter is taken care of. And then everything just stopped. The guy who was firing the mortars, who so far had been pretty freaking good because he's landing all kinds of mortar rounds right in our perimeter, he put a flare in the mortar, a parachute flare, in the middle of the day. It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the parachute flare went off above us, and all the firing stopped. Taliban stopped firing. We stopped firing. There was like 80 dudes just staring, just staring up at the sky, And then that was like maybe 15 seconds of everyone just staring at the parachute flare, and then all of a sudden it was like pop, 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 and it started up again. It was like da, da, da. And then thank God the QRF came in, and they had a Mark 19, which we didn't have a Mark 19 because the vehicle the day before that got. Yeah, the vehicle the day before that got hit to the point where we had to strip the parts off of it to make the other vehicle had the Mark 19 on, and because we were up till 3 o'clock in the morning and we had a 5 o'clock SP time, we didn't have enough time to transfer everything from the Mark 19, which we should have had, which is like an automatic grenade launcher. Yeah, if we'd had that, it would have been a different story. But yeah, so anyway, and we were out there for 15 hours. They finally came out. The wrecker they got him on the flatbed. We got back to base.
Did you see that firing?
Yeah. But we got back to base, and that was the first time that a RG-31, which is a kind of an MRAP. MRAP is mine protected, ambush resistant. That's what it stands for. And the reason they call it ambush resistant is because it was not supposed to be pierced by an RPG. That RPG went straight through that MRAP. It went through right through both sides of the MRAP, right through like yeah.
Like
So
butter.
not like butter, because it did kind of almost stop on the other side of it, on the back side of it, but because it hit a toolbox on the way in, like with a bunch of wrenches and stuff, and then it hit the sponson box.
So this is a true story because I got to barbecue next to that MRAP.
Yeah, the one that was covered. It was covered in the tarps, and it was covered.
Correct.
Yeah.
So here's the fucked up thing. The fucked up thing is there was I don't know if that was the same firefight, but we were not allowed to go over and support you because I was with Afghan reconnaissance. And so when I was like, we got to go, I was saying to my team leader, who was an 04, I had 2 04s on my team, and they're like, no, we can't do that. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, there's a firefight. And they're like, we go where our Afghan reconnaissance guys go. Until they get called over to go get involved, we are not getting involved.
Yeah.
And that was the second time that we couldn't get involved with you because there was another time before that. But no, I remember when you showed me that.
Do you remember it was wrapped in that white?
Yeah, 100%.
Like a crime scene.
Yeah.
And the reason it was wrapped in
But
like
I literally
a crime
barbecued next to it, just so you know.
Scene. Yeah, I know. But
No, that's when I was buying goats. I was buying goats, and I hired my interpreters I had them clean some goats for me to cook some goats.
The reason it was wrapped like that, and it was like treated like a crime scene, and they wouldn't let anybody under it, was because the Oshkosh or whatever the company that built it,
that's exactly
they
who it
lied.
was.
They falsified the data when they did the RPG. So if you remember, and that was 2008, we transferred to the Cougar. The RG-31s got pulled out. It triggered a huge lawsuit against that company because the RPG went right through the damn thing.
So going to be killed because we're forward.
Oh Jesus.
No. But what's crazy is when you were talking about like tow bars and shit like that. The whole entire thing was foobarred because they didn't come with tow bars.
They didn't come with spare tires.
You had to go. You had to go.
Fucking tire.
You had to go and borrow tow bars from other vehicles that weren't going outside the wire.
Well, that was the reason that we couldn't take them with the Mark 19 because the ambush the day before that we got into, they shot off the Duke antenna. And so we didn't have any radio jamming frequency stuff, so we couldn't take that one. But then they shot out 2 of our tires, so we had to borrow an MRAP from somebody else because there were no tires. We had to take 2 tires off of another MRAP
You
that was shot out.
cannibalized. You cannibalized
we can't-
everything.
And that was the first week we had the MRAPs.
Yeah.
In the first week we had the MRAPs, I destroyed 2 MRAPs, and they were like worth like $3 million a piece. So I collected them
Actually,
at, like,
you're full of
6,000.
shit. It was 3 MRAPs because in the MRAP driving course, you fucked that one up too. Because we went through the driving course on these,
Yeah.
testing these vehicles.
Well, I wanted to see what they could do. You know.
Yeah.
As you should. As you should. You
Did you figure it out?
I figured out what they can't do.
Yeah.
I think that there's an understated kind of thing going on here with this conversation is that people from the outside looking in probably don't understand. They just think everything's about firefights, gunfights and everything like that. But the different things that you have to train and drill and grind out on a daily basis to make sure that a mission can be successful. Then I shot a lot of rounds when I was on active duty. We spent a lot of time on the range, but we also spent a lot of time doing vehicle recovery. Dead gunner drills, sad to say, dead driver drills, right? You literally dragging the driver out of a vehicle while it's still moving and swapping places without losing, momentum.
Yeah.
The ability to recover a vehicle and personnel and so on. And these are some of the hardest things to do because there's nothing sexy about it. There's nothing glorious about it, but it has to be done.
Yeah, but Luke, that stuff comes from Mogadishu,
Right.
right? Like
Exactly.
because
Yep.
in Mogadishu, from what happened, I guess,
Mhm.
was none of that stuff was trained because you didn't have to think about it.
Part of it's also just paying attention, knowing where you are, and knowing the environment you're in, and knowing you're on a march, you're on a route. This is where you're going. This is what you're doing, and then you have a vehicle breakdown. You have vehicles overheat. Humvees break down. So I remember stopping in an area that looked like 295, where each side of the area is stone all the way up. You know where I am, between Cranston and Johnston.
Mm.
And I look up and I see a white line here, and I see a white line a little bit higher. And I realize that's as far as my Mach 19 can hit. And that's as high as my M250 cal can hit off the pintle hitch on my vehicle. And I realize we're in a fucking kill zone.
Mm.
And we need to get the fuck out of here right now. This is bad. We need to go right now. And you look, and there's somebody on a cell phone looking over the top down at you from 295. And you realize shit's about to get bad. We need to move now. And we jumped in our vehicles, and I said, tow that vehicle now. And they're like, no, we're going to repair right here. And I'm like, no, we're going to fucking leave now. Fucking put a chain on that. And I showed them how to do a figure 8 chain around the axle. And then I locked it with a lock. And I said, let's go. The tire was coming out. The axle was coming out. Shit broken down. I'm like, no, we're not staying here. Fucking move to the top of the hill where we're out in the open and we can see. And they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I said, see that white line? That white line is where the M250 cal can get. And that Mach 19, that's where that line can get. And we need to get somebody has also been in a firefight right here, right now. And we need to fucking move. And we pulled the vehicle out. And that's when they realized there were like 30 people at the top of the hill getting ready to rain fire down on us. I'm like, no, get the fuck out of here. And we moved out, and everyone's like, oh, much better out in the open. It's great.
Let me tell you a quick story about military intelligence, and how we do things. And this will be good for Scotty to segue into his story, because so there's a road
Warno.
between Gardez, which was where our command was, and Gosney.
That photo from New York.
No, the road was Tangi Valley Road.
Tangi Valley
Right.
Road.
So Tangi Valley Road, people might know this because it's where that Chinook full of Navy SEALs went down and killed like 30 Navy SEAls.
That wasn't Mogadishu, was it?
No. So Tangi Valley Road, right? When I got Tangi Valley Road, it was green. So when you do a transition or when you do a rip, or a rip, it's a replacement in place.
Relief in place.
It's a relief in place. Sorry, I'm sorry. I got a guy talking in my ear. I get easily distracted. So when you do a relief in place, you're supposed to get all this information about what's going on, the hot spots in your area. Well, Tangi Valley Road was listed as green, right? You know why Tangi Valley Road was listed as green?
Because no one had been down it.
Because nobody had been down it.
why.
Because before we got there, they listed it as black. After it was black for so long, there were no troops in contact, no ticks, no firefights. No firefights, they put it back to green. So here we are thinking, oh, Tangi Valley Road's green. So you go down Tangi Valley Road. Every freaking time you go down Tangi Valley Road, you get hit. You're like, how the hell is Tangi Valley Road green? It's green because they make it black long enough for it to turn green. And then when it turns green, they don't tell you, hey, it was black a minute ago. Now it's green. And I got hit there a couple times, and then Scotty got hit on the Tangi Valley Road coming back.
Well, that's where we had Afghans get.
Scott bounce.
Yeah.
Scott's not supposed to bounce.
Seems how you segued into it, might as well just tell the story. We were heading to your fob, I think.
Yeah,
forgot what it was.
we were in Vulcan. You were heading to Fob Ghazni.
Ghazni, yeah. That's
Yeah,
what it was,
we were in
Ghazni.
Vulcan. We were in a little tiny fob next to
Haven't
Fob
done that shit in
Ghazni.
a while. But
Yeah.
we had I forgot where we went there. We had like 3 colonels with us, a couple late colonels with us, like whole tag team. For
Yeah,
some
yeah.
reason, we were out of this group of 12 vehicles, and I was the trail vehicle. I'm pulling up the rear, and I had the old. It was before the
you.
I was the trail. You in front. Me. Oh, trust me, I know that part. I was the front, the last vehicle. Then it was that captain we had with us, Lawrence, who we got rid of immediately after.
We dumped him.
And then I think it was you. But anyway, hit Tangi Valley, get in the hot zone, I guess is what it was. But they never tell you what that is because intelligence it sucks. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's green. That's all we knew.
Yeah.
Which means the whole place is green. But we didn't know the hot spots from before because we had no idea. Never been down this road before. So 12 vehicles right.
Beautiful valley. Unbelievably beautiful.
It was actually green.
Lush flowers.
It was like
everything.
California almost.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Like Northern
It was
California.
unbelievable
It was pretty
place.
trippy.
It was the one place. It was the one place in Afghanistan where you're like your breath is taken away by. It's like, wow, this is really beautiful.
Yeah,
It was a river went right through it.
Jalalabad was like that too.
Oh yeah.
But we were heading through there, heading down there. I don't know if we were picking up vehicles or some shit. I forgot what we were doing because it didn't really matter. But anyway, 12 vehicles going through, and this one area we were coming upon, it was a perfect spot for an ambush or an IED because one on the right side was a sheer cliff.
Yeah.
And it was hard rock, and then there was an open space, like a farm or something like that, and then a river or wadi or what have you. So anyway, 12 vehicles ride through, 11 past this one spot, and as they're coming up to this area, I go, wow, what a great spot for a boom! And there it goes.
Yeah.
The only spot, the only space that they would have buried this thing because everything was asphalt. It was a one space that there was no asphalt. It was all dirt, and that's where they buried God knows what. Assuming it was an Iranian freaking landmine or some shit, and it blew underneath the front bumper, ripped the front of the vehicle off, almost flipped us. It went up. All the weapons ended up on the trunk. Driver almost got gunner almost got tossed, but luckily he didn't. So anyway, when all the dust, it's the same thing that I think you were going to do. You had to check yourself and figure out, like, holy fuck, did that just happen? So anyway, it kind of fucked us up. Like, weren't in the right frame of mind at first because we were conscious
You
for a
were
little bit.
unconscious for 11
Well,
minutes.
it's like what Jay said. It's like you don't know how long it is. Like, oh, how long are you unconscious? How the fuck do I know? I was unconscious. Stupid.
Yeah, I didn't even know until the next day when people were like, and
all I
then
know is like I felt like shit.
You were unconscious for 11 minutes because I set the timer and I was the guy on the radio telling them to slow the fuck down because we just been hit. And they were like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, no, we've just been hit with an IED. What are you talking about? Stop. And I began talking to the aircraft above.
Yeah, because
Switch channels.
the lead vehicle was a quarter of a mile up.
Yeah,
The
they
12
kept on
vehicles,
going. They
were
had no
all- they had no
clue.
fucking clue.
No clue.
And then the vehicle in front of us, like myself, and there was only 2 other guys. It was only the gunner and driver and me, and that was it. And I was a truck commander or what have you. So we're sitting there waiting, and I didn't want to get out right away because I wanted the dust. Like, you can't see shit. There's nothing but dust flying around.
Your
So you had
50 cal went over your head
yeah, it went up. It actually,
and landed on the
I
tire.
had to toss the 240 Bravo back to the gunner so we at least get something. But before I get out, I was like, don't get out of the vehicle. Stay in the vehicle. It's the safest place right now. So we don't have a ambush. So I get out on my side because I had the cliff. We can't do anything there to go around, see what's happening. I was waiting for something to happen, but I didn't expose myself or nothing. But either way, I get the gun to the gunner so we
Yep.
could have something. And the other vehicle, just nobody was coming out. Nobody came to us.
Nobody knew what was going
It was
on.
like crickets for like, I don't know how long. And I get out, did an assessment, waited, nothing. Told my guys if they're okay, let's get out, let's go find somebody. Then finally, the driver from the vehicle in front of us comes out with an aid bag and goes, "Oh, the captain wouldn't let me get out of the vehicle to help you guys." I'm like, "What? What do you mean wouldn't get out of the vehicle?" "Oh, he was afraid of a secondary device." Like, how do you know if there's a secondary device if you don't get out of the fucking vehicle? So it was just a bunch of bullshit. But anyway, it fucked us up for a while. But the Tengi Pass, yeah, that was
Yeah, but
helpful place.
just to emphasize how the intelligence failed us,
Oh, it's hard.
right? That you had the commander of the entire RSEC East that was in that convoy,
full-bird
right?
colonel.
Yeah, full bird colonel, the commander of entire RSEC East. Did they close Tangi Valley after that? No. And then the New York guys got hit. 3 guys got burned to death after an IED.
It was like only the next few days.
Yeah, a
Like,
few days later, they didn't
the
close
next
it.
week.
They still didn't close it. A few days later, those guys come over. The New York guys, they get hit. They flip over. They burn to death. The Taliban, well, it was three U.S. and 1 Terp. The Taliban took their bodies, cut their bodies up. We spent 3 weeks.
That was those were our Terps. They came from a PMT.
Yeah, but we spent three weeks looking for body parts, because and up until we found enough body parts of each of the guys to know that there was no way they were alive, that they were dead. You know what I mean? But I mean we got hit. Another the guys that were over there in their Salerno, that little fob Salerno that got leveled by a dump truck full of explosives. They leveled that thing. Remember that?
Yeah.
Those guys got
When
hit.
was that?
Dog Company, huh?
When was that?
2008.
Oh, okay.
It was
'Cause I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's
but,
fine,
but Coast had 2 different fobs, and Salerno is where we were.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Salerno.
Salerno
not
was the
Salerno.
air base that
No,
was over there.
not Salerno. Not Salerno. Syedabad base, not
Oh,
Salerno.
okay.
Syedabad base.
Assadabad.
So Syedabad, they got hit,
That was off of Ring Road.
and then yeah, it was and then we got hit. You guys got hit, and they still didn't close the thing down. And then it took those 4 guys getting killed before they finally closed it down.
Well, here's the fucking kicker. Once we finally towed the vehicle out of there, because again, we had this one lieutenant colonel, like, totally lost his shit. Here's me and the 3 guys that got hit, or 2 guys that got hit with me, sitting on the bank, just sitting there like, what the fuck just happened? And this lieutenant colonel comes in, can't remember his fucking name, a little dorky guy. "We gotta blow this fucking thing in place. We gotta get out of here." Like, totally lost his shit, like you see in the movies. Like, totally had no idea what he was saying.
He was
We need-
lost.
We needed to blow the vehicle up. I'm like, my shit's in there. I ain't blowing fucking shit up. I gotta get my shit out. Like,
So I ignored him and I stepped into that hole and I tied a rope and I hooked it up and we towed it out of the hole. We maintained security. We made sure that we were ready to fire. We found the tree that was cut down to look like
yeah, the
a
next
site. And then we found out who they was. We found out that it was the family that had been killed. Had one of their sons had been killed, and we actually dismounted. You and I, we dismounted. We went into
Yeah,
the area.
the ones that got hit with the ID are the ones that were clearing the
Yes,
open
we
space.
cleared
Just
that
fucked
whole
up.
area.
There's
And
nobody else is
I
afraid.
tied
They
the
wanna get
rope.
out
I
of the vehicle.
stepped into the hole. It was totally aerated. Not a thing you want to step into because you disappear into the hole. Luckily, I'm hefty enough, so I tied off the rope and we towed the vehicle out of the kill zone, moved forward, hooked it up to an actual tow, towed it to an area where we could safely get out of the area. But it was one of those, you do what you have to do when you have to do it, and it's just. But I watched my buddy unconscious over the gun mount, waiting for him to. I thought you were dead.
I think
And-
everybody-
and- yes.
I want to know when you took out your E-tool and dug some shrapnel out of that hole.
Oh no! What he did, he went.
I
We
will
ended up
hit you
finding
with
the
my
hood. The hood. Like the next day, we found the hood. Like, I don't know, like 100 yards away
Yeah,
from the
it
blast site. The
completely
hood was,
blew
like, somewhere else.
By the way, guys, my wife says Happy Veterans Day.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, your wife.
Very
But to
kind.
go back to the intelligence thing, after the next day, you said that we got hit there. We had to drive back through the same fucking spot 24 hours later. So So what do we
How
do?
does that feel?
So him and I came up with an idea like, hey, how about if we tell these other yahoos, why don't we stop before the kill zone, get out,
And dismount.
dismount,
And do infantry shit.
and
'cause
then
that's
go-
what we do.
and then go where we think the guy was the trigger man or whatever the fuck you want to call it. So we end up finding a spot. Dude, it was perfect. The guy had a V shape in the tree,
They cut the tree down so it was actually look like this.
you know, and it was in line with these two pipes for drainage coming from the elevated part of the road. So you can see two pipes coming out, the V in the middle of those two pipes, and the kill zone where my vehicle was right between those two pipes. So it was well
So I
designed.
stepped into the aerated soil and tied it off, and we go to the fuck. And then it was like, why has our movement stopped? Why are we delaying here? What's going on? I'm like, we just got hit with an ID. What? We didn't get hit with an ID. Like, yeah, we fucking did. Let's tie off and let's continue moving. We're good. Everybody survived. And then I put you in for the Purple Heart, and you were angry as a
Oh,
motherfucker.
I didn't
Because he
think
put you in for the
cut-
Purple Heart.
he did. He
Did
I
you
said-
get it?
Along with
said-
the other, yeah.
I said you were unconscious for 11 minutes.
But-
that counts. I did the reg. I read it. I know what a Purple Heart means.
Hey, Scott, what hurt more, that or bouncing off the drop zone in Holland during our Operation Market Garden jump and breaking your hip?
By dropping off.
And how much
bouncing
more
You're a
Morphine
bad
did you
man,
get?
Jack. Bad man, Jack.
Which hurt more?
bouncing off the ground because I was awake for that.
You were awake. Yeah, Scott's parachute was called the Cannonball when we had to jump Market
Hit
Garden.
the
man.
ground about
In Holland.
20.
My sky name is Lawn Dart,
Yeah.
so I don't even want to hear about how your jump hurt more than that episode.
They don't make
I'm gonna
parachutes
hurt your
big enough for
feelings,
you.
Brian,
My
but
sky name was Lawn Dart.
self-imposed problem.
I jumped 8th. I finished
I assume-
first.
Brian, I assume you weren't this big when you were in.
Oh, he was. I
slimmed-
got photos.
I'm big too.
I slimmed down to jump, but I bulked up to retire.
When
Lawn dart.
300 when he was deployed.
Yeah, he was.
To go along with that caveat that you just had, tell you a good story. The Humvee is not made for men that size. I had
You're a
got to
bad,
say
bad
that.
man.
He had his own Humvee.
barely made for men. My
You're a
size.
bad,
I'm not a
bad
big
man.
guy.
Bad man.
Picture the Juggernaut from Marvel.
Maybe a
Comics or
2-minute
whatever.
minor.
Picture the Juggernaut, right?
You're a bad man.
Full body armor, Kevlar, all that stuff. And here's a guy getting in and out of a Humvee that's not meant for the guy his size.
I
People
actually had to adjust my seat.
people would literally stop what they were doing on the fob and watch him get in and out of the vehicle because they thought it was like a sight.
Ab
sight to be
wonky.
seen.
Thank you. Happy
You're
Veterans Day.
a bad man.
I
Just
appreciate
because I put in a 6-inch bracket on my Humvee seat in order to put it into recline so that I could see out the window. Otherwise, I would have been pressed into the roof and not be able to see anything. So, but yeah, I put in a bracket. It's fine.
Yeah, they could spend
It
like
worked.
4 hours doing that something.
Get
Was that the
some-
penalty
something like
box
that.
bracket?
It was a penalty box.
You tell them about the
yeah.
time your own guy shot you.
All right. Okay. All right.
that's
There's
another-
another story. And
You're a bad man.
Here we
we
go.
transition.
You're a
No, I'm just
bad-
kidding. I'm just kidding. You don't
you're
have to
a
tell
bad,
him
bad
because
man.
that's
It's
boring.
not friendly fire.
Wait a
it's
minute.
Just
Wait a
shrapnel.
minute. Was that when he was spooning people?
yeah.
You got shot when you were spooning.
I arrived and fell in on a unit in Afghanistan where they might have handed up a fully loaded saw to the gunner when in fact it should have been a saw without the actual ammunition. And the driver who handed up that weapon, fully loaded, ended up shooting himself in the shoulder when he realized it was a fully loaded weapon and he was about to enter the area where you load the weapon. And I said, "What are you doing? You should." And he hit a bump.
Yeah.
No, he hit a
Stories all
bump.
over the place.
Did he not shoot him? Technically, did he not shoot himself in the shoulder?
No, he shot the driver.
Say that in the mic.
shot-
Say that in
The
the
driver is
Mark-
the one who handed up the weapon.
Mark Doherty. Now we were moving to the gate. was the
Yes, we
problem.
were.
And the vehicle was moving. The gunner had the main weapon and a saw as a backup, and a handle
In a handle of the
pointed
Humvee
down.
turret.
pointed down into the vehicle. And he pulled the trigger, sent 3 rounds into the metal plate in the turret, which is only a 1/4 inch thick, and steel is not bulletproof.
No,
we
it's
found
not.
out.
No.
No matter what they say, shit will go through eventually. And 3 rounds went through. The last one was shrapnel and went through the driver and embedded in his arm.
But the driver's the one that handed up the weapon that was fully loaded.
Yeah, but he started to fuck with it and then pulled the trigger. Whoops, by
And,
accident. you know.
He pulled by accident because he was bouncing over the terrain.
Yeah.
They weren't supposed to load the weapon until we got to that point.
Right. But
We hadn't gotten to that point.
the worst part is that was our first
That was our
mission.
first
our
mission.
first mission
Oh.
out the gate alone. But
And I got to call the colonel and say, we are not going on this mission
Yeah.
because we've actually shot our driver. And I'm the passenger, and I've got shrapnel in my cheek, my armor, and for 3 months I scraped copper out of my cheek. That was a good time.
I see, held back on that one. I should have put you in for a Purple Heart.
Wow.
No Purple Heart for friendly fire,
I
buddy.
don't know about that.
No Purple Heart for friendly
Ah,
fire.
teasing.
Oh,
I don't know if it was friendly, man, because I don't know. That,
Very unfriendly.
Very unfriendly.
So you had friendly fire?
My driver loaded a weapon and handed it to my gunner, who then shot me in the face, the radio, and my vehicle. Yes.
So I see that
First
you're
mission-
wearing.
First mission in Afghanistan. Good times.
So I see that you're wearing a jacket with a ton of medals on it. I don't.
couple things.
I don't think I see a Purple Heart on it.
Nope, not a one. You don't get a Purple Heart for friendly fire. There's nothing. None of
Luke.
those. Nope.
Did Pat get a Purple Heart?
I believe he did, and you know, I mean, I gave like the Cliff's Notes of the Cliff's Notes version of that story, and I think that you know, anybody who's familiar with the story knows that there's a lot more to it than that. You know, there was, you know, one portion of the convoy came under fire. It was not Pat's. It was not Pat's part of the convoy, and Pat dismounted from his part of the convoy. So the convoy was separated into 2 elements. One element became under fire. The 2 elements of the convoy had essentially converged. It was like a Y intersection. One element had reached that intersection ahead of the other, had passed through it, did not realize how close the other element was behind them, coming from a different direction. And so they came under fire. And Pat and his team dismounted from their vehicles, ascended to a high point over terrain to try and provide cover fire for the element that was in contact. The circumstances are a little bit different. You know, that there was a 2-way firefight happening at that point. Pat and his team were maneuvering on enemy soldiers at the time that he was struck by friendly fire.
Into the microphone.
I'm reaching back at this point 20 years, over 20 years.
20 years. You're that old?
yeah.
I guess without the hair, you can't really see the gray.
Yeah,
He's the youngest one.
I mean,
How old are you?
It's I have to think about that. 44.
No, he's not. I am. Shut the fuck up.
Oh man. You know,
Must be all that salt water.
I do know
Yeah,
that
that's
you know
what it is.
You know, Pat was posthumously promoted to corporal and did receive some awards posthumously. I'd be lying if I told you that I remembered whether or not he received a Purple Heart. But the circumstances are a bit different. You know,
Yeah.
But he was a damn good man.
he was a
Look.
damn good man.
We've been going at this now for a couple hours. Believe it or not, I know time flies when you're having fun.
So, like, back on that 20-year thing, and the Tillman thing, it comes down to like the why, right? Like why did he join? Why did he give up so much? You know, why did he do what he did, right? And you know, that's 20 years ago, and here we are today in 2025, and I'm just like, you know, WTF? What is going on in the world in general? Like, do people understand and know their whys? Why are they joining? You know, why are they raising their right hands? I did a post on Instagram today about oath of enlistment, raising the right hand. Just like, I haven't heard that in a long time, and it kind of like meant a lot to me just to serve. And I had said earlier tonight, like, Luke Bonin, like when I go to make decisions, I go into the Luke Bonin, like what if, calculator with Luke. So that's important. I think things have changed since back then till now. I don't know. So hopefully we get better from where we are right now in 2025 and something comes back.
Yeah. So one of the things that, you have a bracelet, Brian, that you said you specifically told me you wanted to read.
I want to read this.
Let me know. Yeah, go ahead. Tell us what it is.
Can you read it?
I can.
Into the mic, like a Navy guy.
Surprisingly enough, yes, I can read my bracelet.
I bet you he knows
into
it by
the mic.
memory. Even
By
if
the
he
way,
couldn't read
just
it.
before he does that, if you're watching this, we're not going to be much longer. We're almost done here. But if you're watching this, share it, like, subscribe, leave your comments. We'll read it online. We'll read it out right now.
All right.
Go
so
ahead,
my,
Brian.
This
What do
is
you
my
got?
bracelet. This is the second one. The first one I had wore out. And I had this one reprinted. This is for Captain Bruce E. Hayes, Wyoming, Army National Guard. Killed in action. It's my rest in peace.
He can't read.
I can. It's Operation Enduring Freedom. This happened on 17 September. And he was the guy that I trained. He was a captain that I sold him. He didn't believe me at first. He's like, I'm here to support you. I'm here to do what you need to do. You're relieving one of my team leaders, and you're relieving Captain Ackerman and his team, and you're gonna go in and you're gonna do this job and you're gonna do this thing. And we drove over the same roads that he ended up blowing up on. They set an ID on this road, and I found out a couple things after the fact. Years later, I did not know this. He had bought a pickup truck to be restored for his wife. His wife had a dad who was a veteran, and he wanted to rebuild this thing. So while he was deployed, he dropped off this vehicle to get work done, and it needed to be restored. It needed a bunch of work done to it. He paid money to it. Guy found out that he got killed in combat and fucking bailed on the job, took the money and left. And
thought that was going
I
someplace
didn't know
different.
after the fact till later. They rallied around the fact that he had done this for his wife, and the company came together. There was a local dealership. They rallied around, and they gathered the money, and they did the work, and they restored. The guy that originally was paid to do the job bailed and screwed. I'm like, give me his name.
Yeah.
Tell me who he is. They would not do that. But ultimately, Captain Bruce E. Hayes was my guy. I trained him, and he was killed in an IED explosion that killed 4 members. 1 was an interpreter, 3 were soldiers, and it was a horrible thing. And I wear his bracelet on my wrist, and I refuse to take it off. I wear it every day. Huh?
No, it's in his hands.
It's in my hands. So the print is small, and I'm blind and old, and the lighting isn't good. But 17 September 2008 in Gurdasarai,
Don't
Actia
cry.
Province,
Don't cry.
Afghanistan.
To Captain
I
Hayes.
don't cry. But God bless to him and all his men.
This is a good time. This is actually a good time for us to actually do the exact same thing that that Brian just did. Do you have somebody in mind that you want to remember?
Captain Bruce E.
Any of
Hayes.
you guys?
I'd actually like to memorialize 2 great guys that we think all of us served with. Major retired Tim Rochelle, Master Sergeant Teddy Marrero.
Teodoro Marrero.
2 great heroes.
God bless.
that left us way too soon. They made it back from Afghanistan, but eventually Afghanistan caught up to them. God bless them.
Bless them all.
Don't slow down. Let's this is it. This is Veterans Day. This is what I know. So Jay, you and I had a conversation once that Veterans Day is a precursor to Memorial Day.
Well, it's like Veterans Day is like Memorial Day for veterans. You
Yeah.
know, everyone else thinks about the veterans and thanks you for your service, but all you're really thinking about is the guys that passed. You know,
Yeah,
it's a solemn day, really. You know,
it is.
Yeah,
And
we
people
try-
say
we-
thank
know,
you.
We try to educate people. You know, a lot of times on Memorial Day, hey, thank you for your service.
Day.
They
Or
say happy Memorial Day, and that's like,
Memorial
what's happy about
No,
it,
it's like-
right?
You know, it's not about us. It's about, you know, the guys
Yeah.
and women that left this earth doing what they wanted to do. So
So, in the spirit of this, I don't know anybody personally who passed away or who was left. I was in, so I did just real quick, I did a 3-month period or a 3-month deployment under the polar ice cap. And while we were there, we were doing some missions with a British submarine. And during that period of time, or while we were doing missions, their oxygen generator. So the oxygen generator, obviously, that's what it takes the water, it zaps it. I'm not going to go too detailed into it, but it zaps it and it splits the atoms into hydrogen and an oxygen. Obviously, hydrogen is very explosive. And their oxygen generator, the British boat, their oxygen generator exploded under the ice. Now, when you're under the ice, it's not as easy to surface, right? So when you have an explosion or when you have a fire on board a submarine, the first thing you want to do is you want to surface so that you can turn the ventilation fans on, because everything is closed loop, right?
yeah, right.
All of the fans, all of the spaces are, it's a closed loop system. Under the ice, it's not as easy to just surface anywhere you want to surface. So when we were under the ice cap, we heard them talking on so there's this thing called sucking on rubber when you're on a submarine. It's when you're,
is that another thing out of that book?
it's not.
That's
It's
another
not.
challenge. Isn't
This
it?
is real. This is real. It's called sucking on rubber.
It was coming.
And what that really means, so on a submarine, you don't have enough Scott tanks. You don't have enough oxygen tanks. Everybody has what they call EAB. It's a mask with a 6-foot hose, and within the bulkheads and within the overhead, there are manifolds, and you plug into those, and that's how you get your air. Right? So you plug into those, you get your air, you breathe. If you have to move on to the next one, you hold your breath, you unplug it, and you run to the next one and hope that you know where it's at, because sometimes there's smoke, and then you plug into it. Fortunately, if there's somebody standing there that's already plugged into it, there's a manifold on their belt that you can plug in too. But you have to let them know that you're plugged in, because if they decide to unplug without letting you know, all of a sudden you're sucking on rubber, which is the hose, right? There's no air there. So you can tell when somebody is sucking on rubber, because think about it. Exactly. When you hear them talking, because we have these low water comms, which is it's where you can hear under the water. It's a low vibration. They were looking for a place to surface, and you could tell they were looking for a place to surface because they seemed fanatical. They seemed very, I don't know what the word is. They seemed very like desperate. They were looking for a place to surface. Most of the when you're under the ice cap, you can't surface in anything over 5 feet. So you have to find a spot that's 5 feet or less to be able to surface your boat. Well, their oxygen generator blew up, and two of the people had passed away. 2 of the people died because it blew up. And I mean, think it's about hydrogen. It blows up. We were about 1,000 yards away from them, so we heard everything that was happening. Everything that they were going through, we heard about it. We pulled into Scotland on the way home, and we happened to be in there happened to be a British boat next to us. They pulled in at the same time. And while we were there, it's hard to hear stuff like that. And we obviously made friends with some of the British sailors. And I had so when you're on a boat, when you're on a submarine, you get a warfare device. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, the warfare device. That's the little pin. Dolphins, you have to go through an entire process to get it. When I got my warfare device, my sea dad, or the guy that was in charge, or the guy that looked after me while I was underway, who made sure that I was getting my qualifications correctly. When I got my, and I know I'm taking a long time, I'm sorry. When I got my warfare device, he gave me the dolphins, or he pinned the dolphins that was given to him when he got his dolphins on my chest. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. While I was in Scotland, I didn't know what else to do. Like, I felt so incredibly horrible for these British sailors that just lost a couple of their guys 1,000 yards from my boat, that I ended up giving those fish to one of the British sailors that I had that I hung out with. It's, honestly, I have no freaking idea where I was going with this story.
It was we were memorializing guys that we
Yes.
knew that passed, and you said that was
Yes.
as close as you
That's
had
the
come.
closest that I had come to anybody that I knew or came to passing away.
You know, it counts, right? And what I mean is, it's, you know, combat is what takes the vast majority of our brothers and sisters in arms, but it's a dangerous profession,
It is.
and the training is dangerous. And you know, in my unit, I think we lost 2 guys in training in the short time that I was on active duty, in less than 4 years. One to a parachute jump, practicing an airfield seizure. You know, so a parachute accident on the tarmac of an airfield, and one was during a live fire exercise. A guy was struck by a round. But all of the work and the time and the effort and the energy and the discipline that it takes to conduct the training so that you can be prepared for when the bell rings is just as important.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, when you are training in these dangerous environments and testing yourself to the ultimate limits, these things happen along the way outside of combat zones as well.
No thanks, big brother. Thanks. Appreciate you. He just said 100% counts. Thank you for your time in the silent service. Thank you. I appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Can I?
By all means.
Oh no.
Let's put the timer on, though. No, I'm just kidding.
Nope, no timer needed. My grandfather, Albert Thornton Sr., my dad's dad, was on a submarine in the
Good man.
Pacific, World War II. He was a 6'2" man in a 6-foot sub. He was a torpedoman first class. And this man didn't talk about his service. Because I asked him. I would talk to him. He's like, don't join the Navy. Like, I live in Rhode Island. I should
The
join the
ocean
Navy.
state, right? Yeah.
I wanted to follow in his footsteps. He goes, don't join the Navy. He was a 6'2" man, torpedoed in first class in a submarine in World War II. And he came home after his service. He did his time. He came home and he met his 4.5-year-old son, my grandfather.
Your grandfather.
Met my dad at 4.5 years old and said, "Hi, I'm your dad." He was gone that long. My service didn't add up close to his. I did 2 tours. It added up to a year and 9 months of active duty. It didn't compare. He came home and met his son, who was 4 years old,
Wow.
and said, "Hi, I'm your dad." That's fucked up. That's a man who served when he was told to serve. He did what he needed to do, and he could not explain to me his service. He didn't talk about it. He just said, I did what I needed to do. I did what I needed to do. And that's mind-blowing.
There's a quote that I want to share real quick. It's from, well, I'll just share it real quick and then I'll tell you who it's from. It says, "The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war shall be directly proportional to how they perceive the veterans of early wars, how they were treated and appreciated by their nation." George Washington. And that's kind of how I want. I feel like we've been talking now for hours, and people are probably bored of us, which I don't know why. I mean, these are some interesting stories. I mean, for God's sake, we have the guy who cut freaking Saddam Hussein's hair. We have a guy who was in the unit with Pat Tillman. There's some really, according to military standards or veteran status, there's some very important people at this table today. And Jay, I never heard your stories, brother. I never heard your stories. We've been doing this now together for a year, and we've never really talked about your service. We've talked about Cumberland. We've talked about Rhode Island. We've talked to people like Doomsday Howard. We've talked to, some really cool, interesting people. But in reality, you are a really cool, interesting person.
That's what I tell the ladies.
Oh shit, there I was.
And I know we've been going at this forever, and we all said we all poured one out for the people that didn't come home that we knew. Unless you guys want to share another story or something that hadn't been brought up, I feel like we bring this to a close.
Sounds good.
Anybody want to share anything else?
Just want to say thank you, all you guys. You know what I mean? It's nice to see the guys you serve with. Like, I haven't seen Scott in years, but it's like I
was
served him.
yesterday.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Thank you guys for coming out, hanging out with us.
And thank you for your service, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if you're a veteran watching this, we thank you for your service. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't even be able to have this conversation.
That's right.
I wish I had hair so George could give me a haircut.
I can't even get myself.
Do you still wait a minute?
I got it back.
Do you still have the clippers?
I do.
That we need to put those. We need to put those
That's
on
awesome.
the shelf behind
You
us.
think so?
Oh yeah.
We can do
Totally.
that.
At least for one show.
If you are a Cumberland Unfiltered watcher, we want you to subscribe. We want you to comment. We want you to tell us how you feel about these incredible, selfless men that are sitting at this table
And men before us.
and men before us. And we want you to thank a veteran that you know. Thank you for joining us. Go to Cumberland Unfiltered everywhere that you would get your audio, your video, Cumberland Unfiltered, at Cumberland Unfiltered. Like, subscribe, share. Let us know what you think. That's a wrap.